There we are, lads. Lucky guys, welcome along to the match reaction pod for the Real Madrid game this evening, the last of the pre-season friendly. I'm joined tonight by Sean, Graeme, and John Albert. We'll go for some evenings, so bench between two Johns. Like Rangers this evening, we're going with a strong lineup at the Rangers Rabble, so it's going to be a great pod at the centre. Guys, enjoyable game this evening.
Aye, we'll pretend we're only doing this for the second time, right? That was pretty much. I'd said that was pretty much how I would want a pre-season friendly going into our first SPL game to go. Everyone looked fresh, touch looked good, system looked sorted. I quite like the wee dabbling that he's done a couple of times now with the 4-1-4-1. I think it gets the best out of it in a little bit and maybe provides us a bit of an outlook as to what we might do away at a really tough Champions League side when we get into the group stages, fingers crossed. But no, that was very, very tidy. And contrary to what I've said before, pre-season friendlies are all that matters, and beating Real Madrid is the biggest scalp that we're going to have all season. So I know they were missing so many players, but it didn't matter who we played today, as long as the performance was like that. Very happy, especially with the new boys. Lundstrom surprised me big time, man. He looks tidier than to be fair, he's playing for Sheffield United, so it's always hard to grasp. But he looks a lot tidier in possession than I maybe gave him credit for in the Premier League before.
Yep, so that's the pod. Thanks very much. See you later on.
Yeah, I thought that summed up pretty well.
Just a quick mention for the people in the comments. Keep your questions coming in, your comments coming in. Remember, you can join us as a member now. Ian Grieve, thank you very much for your membership. It's much appreciated. There's going to be members' content coming your way very, very soon. I do have a question for the guys in the comment, the guys and girls in the comments, though, and it's quite simple. It's one of the hot topics of debate in the Rangers Rabble. Is my hairline better than Martin's? Curry Munsharp, you might have hit the nail on the head there. I've obviously got a different barber for him, but let us know what you think. And any questions you've got, feel free to chip in with them. We'll get through as many questions as we can this evening in the next sort of half hour. So let's start with the first half, guys. We'll break it down because we obviously play different styles of football. We play different formations. We play different players at different halves. Was that the strongest possible lineup Rangers could play? Steven Gerrard could play this evening. Obviously, Morelos isn't back for Colombia yet. We'll leave that until the main pods during the week. But is that the strongest possible lineup we could have went with?
I think I'll jump in. Sorry, when you go.
Sorry, I think so. It was, apart from maybe Glenn Kamara in the midfield for probably, I would say, Lundstrom for the next week. But strong lineup. I was very pleased with the performance in the first half. It was one of the ones I didn't want it to end. It was quite exciting, fast paced, and they were pressing very well. So I think that'll be close to the start lineup for Livingston next Saturday.
I can agree. Yeah, I can agree with that. I thought maybe Kamara for Hadji. I think maybe might be the swap for next week. And I think after the performance of Itten getting his third goal in pre-season, it's who do you go with up front next week? I think so. I think 9 out of the 11 positions are nailed on for next week. So it's just who do you go with as your number 9 or maybe your third midfielder. Yeah, and look at the players that we didn't have today. Roof and Aribo for 2 for a start. So I think 8 or 9 positions are nailed on.
Yeah, it's a good point about Kamara for Hadji. It was a question I've sort of got for you guys. As we saw Hadji playing a couple of positions now. He was playing more in the middle of the park tonight. What is his best position? Because Hadji seems to be able to play in a variety of roles. Sometimes he has great games. Other times he's a little more quiet. Where's Hadji going to fit into the system, John, over the next couple of weeks?
He is an 8-10. Like he is an 8 or 10. He's an attacking midfielder in a 4-2-3-1. That is his main position. But I think against teams like Livingston, where he was playing today, is perfect. I've said this so many times to different people. He is the best player I've ever seen in Scottish football receive the ball on his back foot. I've never seen anyone, no matter which foot it is, left or right, receiving the ball on the back foot to go forward. I have not seen anyone as comfortable as doing that in tight spaces as him. I think he's sometimes overlooked by Rangers fans. I think he's the first to be dropped by Gerrard, which doesn't help because it then validates that Rangers fans are maybe the first to go, right, he's been lightweight for an hour. get the changes made. I think against the Livingston, he's all right there at home. I think away from home, you're maybe wanting to play in one of the front three positions, or if you maybe change that formation to that 4-1-4-1, you could probably trust him in one of the two more advanced centre mid positions, getting closer to a striker. But in the current system, he can only play one of those three in centre mid against weakened opposition that we need to dictate play. Otherwise, it needs to be Kamara, Davis, and Ryan Jack. It needs to be those three. Or Veerman when we eventually sign him. He takes the space off.
That's just optimism. Ian, you're right. There's been a lot of great feedback and comments about Sakala. We're going to get to him. We've got our Sakala expert on the pod tonight for a reason. We are going to get to him. Just want to catch up on a couple of other things. As I say, we're talking about the game. So first, Rangers started really strongly. Real Madrid broke. It just sounds so strange saying that, doesn't it? Rangers started strongly. Real Madrid broke, and they got the goal. McCann and Hutton at half time and Rangers TV were really. Is it just me that thinks he got a lucky bounce off Goldson? Tried to put the ball past Goldson and he got the lucky the bounce. Graeme?
I think he was trying to do that to get into that position, so he probably earned his luck, as they say, in the kind of situations. But Goldson and I think it was Davis, if I remember right, the two of them should have been attracted to the ball. One should have went marked, went down the right hand side when he went past. But it was a good goal, a nice finish, and McGregor had no chance. So probably earned his luck with a wee bit of skill in that. So you can't complain too much. It's a Brazilian international, isn't it? So.
Yeah, listen. He took the finish well, but I just thought, it was one of the goals when he got the touch. I just thought, well, yeah, lucky, but it's friendly. Curry Muncher, I am not using Rolf's Wi-Fi. I'm just having a wee bit of difficulty with my own one, but thanks for picking up on that and making me feel even worse about it.
See just on the goal. There's a few times last season where Davis was the defender, where Davis was coming back in a similar position. Didn't he dive in or didn't he go to ground? If Davis had stayed on his feet, because there was a couple of times late in the season, even against Celtic, where he got back, robbed Edward in dangerous positions and stuff like that, where he was a player to rescue. I just felt, as Graeme said, both of them diving in earned Rodrigo that wee bit of luck and obviously the cool composure. But if Davis had stayed on his feet, I think he might have been able to get back behind Goldson and just knock it away like he's done a number of times for us. So, a bit unfortunate, but if you're going to lose a goal like that, why not lose it in pre-season?
It's a goal that will not happen in our league campaign. It was what we just talked about Hadji a little bit there. That ball came from a cross that we had on the right side, and we had all three midfielders. Kent, Hadji, Lundstrom had all committed to the box, and Davis was about 40 yards back. That's what allowed that bizarre break. If you've got Kamara in there or Ryan Jack in there, you've got two of them making sure that one goes and two sit in the free attack with Barisic picking up in the full-back position if it breaks. It doesn't happen where a Hadji and a Lundstrom would both go in and we'd be caught. And get missed Hadji by like half a yard coming at the edge of the box as well. And then Odegaard breaks and then they're straight onto us. So it's a freak goal that I think when we get in a rhythm and we've got our team system all sorted, it doesn't even get as far as being a chance. It's broken up in the middle of the park.
Yeah, and just we're talking about the quality of the opposition there. You mentioned, although they were missing some great players, Graeme, they had some fantastic players playing with them this evening. We spoke about Odegaard, who I seen a bit of last season, being on loan at Arsenal, a team I watch a lot. Marcelo, Rodrigo, Lunen's a great prospect as our goalkeeper. Anybody that's ever played Football Manager will tell you that. Was it disappointing, although their first game of the pre-season, was it disappointing that they never had the likes of Bale out in the team today? Obviously they had injury problems, they had COVID problems as well, but was it disappointing not to see a stronger Real Madrid and really test ourselves against one of the top clubs in the world, one of the best teams in the world?
I'd obviously love the chance to see the big stars there, especially the fans that managed to get tickets. So it'd been good to see your Benzemas and that there, but I think everybody knew deep down that it was going to be a Wheaton side. Well, say Wheaton, but obviously Isco and players like that are still playing. He's one of my favourite players to watch, like just close control and stuff like that. Just a bit, he seems a wee bit lackadaisical sometimes, or he'd be probably a bigger player than what he is. But I was happy enough with the players that were there. As you say, I think Clive Tidsley said there was like 10 Champions League winners, like medals between the players that started.
Yeah,
you can't argue that. It's still some talent to play in a weekend side.
Yeah, absolutely. Going on with the first half, they got their goal. They went 1-0 up. They never really looked like threatening us any more than that. We had great chances. Sakala had chances. Kent had chances. Kent, by the way, somebody we're going to get to in a couple of minutes. Goldson had the header off the line. That was cleared off the line, or saved on the line. Was it a matter of time before Rangers got their equaliser, John Alberts, that is?
Yeah, I think it was. As you say, we left them one chance, and that was it. And they took it in the first half. When you say there was a passage of play where Lunan had two fantastic saves, two decent saves, especially the one where Sakala kind of steps over it late, and the goalkeeper goes down to his left, pushes it away, and the shot comes in for Lundstrom. I think it was in the second one, but no, it was always a matter of time before we got the goal. I think we were pretty happy. I think getting in at half time 1-0 down, thinking we've not played that bad. There's nothing there. And I don't know if you're going to talk about Kent, his nutmeg, or Lundstrom when he sent Marcelo to the shops.
Yeah.
A style of what Kent done to Brown last season. But there was a lot of positives in that first half, and I wasn't worried at all. Not worried at all.
We'll come to a couple of individual performances in a couple of minutes, but John, the second half, we came into the second half, a lot of changes were made. We saw a little bit of a change of shape as well. Is that kind of playing Patterson and Tavernier in the same team? Is that an option that we have, or is it just purely Gerrard experimenting in pre-season?
No, I think it's something we'll use. I think this is practicing for Champions League games, away to the likes of Real Madrid, Barcelona, whoever we get, whoever the top two seed teams are. We're going to have to go there with a different system. I think Celtic in a couple of games against us last season, the New Year game at Ibrox, for 65 minutes, we could not break their press. We could not get the ball out of that midfield free. And I think the way they pressed out a diamond and the way some teams play narrowly and the way we do our inverted tens, I think that would be something he'd look at using. We actually an option down the line for Tavernier or Patterson to actually play out in the wide areas, to also then give a free midfield time to play. And also gives us that defensive cover if we are away at Barcelona, Real Madrid, Juventus in the Champions League, and you just go, you go Walter Smith, you go two fullbacks in the wide areas and left back, and you just sit in and you just hope to catch him in the counter, because I would still trust Tavernier and Patterson to be able to get up the line and counter on teams effectively. For God's sake, we managed to do it in Europe with Broadfoot and Whittaker. You know what I mean? I think we've probably got two better players to do it going forward. So I think it actually is, contrary to I've seen a couple of people, I think it is something he's maybe preparing for, especially if games get tight. And I think it actually brought out the best in it. And I think without two people around him, he actually did kind of look a wee bit hungry and looks like he's willing to fight for the ball a wee bit more when he is that lone striker, because it's the position he's played in a 4-5-1 before. He did look a wee bit, and he's looked really, really fresh. He's somebody that we did say if he maybe got a pre-season, we might see a totally different boy this year. And he's been a top scorer in pre-season. I think it's something we might look at doing, not regularly, but enough to validate Gerrard's decision to not put Patterson out on loan, because he knows he's got a boy's international career here. Because from what I've seen again today, he's just so confident, Patterson. Like his confidence is way above his years in game time that he's had. That, again, this isn't a Scotland podcast, so we won't get into it too much, but if anyone wants to even remotely tell me that Stephen O'Donnell, who got ripped apart by Jose Kitongo's son last week against Airdrie, is anywhere near this boy, then you've never watched a game of football. So Gerrard knows that he has to somehow get this guy, whether it be sub-appearances or starting some games, he needs to get him in like 30% of our fixtures somehow. And I think this is what he's looking at, is he's going, I can use him in competitive away games and I can rest Tavernier in easy home games and play about with some stuff that might then suit a Hadji playing in the midfield free, Itten playing as a lone striker, and actually getting all these players game time, because he'll be looking at Europe again. Gerrard, the last 2 seasons, we've got in Europe after Christmas. So he'll be thinking, regardless of which competition he's in, that'll be his aim, and he wants to keep everyone happy and firing. And I think with the Premier League Cup, the Scottish Cup, a decent European run, fingers crossed, that he'll have all that.
Yeah, it's again, it's something that I'm going to ask just shortly about the rest of the squad, but we'll finish up in the game. So John Alberts, UK, we've got the equaliser dug deep in the middle of the half. knocked the ball into Sakala. You know, Sakala's got his first goal in a Rangers jersey, and he just, is that what we can expect of him? Because he seemed to be able to play anywhere across that front three, that leading three. I'll be honest with you, I expected him to play right and would see him out in the right, and he would be out in the right, and that would be him. But is that something that we can really look forward to? Does that give us another option as a centre forward? You know, there's a lot of speculation about a certain Alfredo Morelos recently. Have we got a ready-made replacement there if we need it?
I'm not so sure if he's a ready-made replacement, but I think he certainly, I don't know if he bullies defenders maybe with his physicality, but he certainly did play across the front. He'd won a few headers as well. Today, never get many of them on target, but he was up. You know, he was right foot, left foot, quite versatile, chopping and changing back on. I think the first half where he was hesitant to go with his left, changed it back to his right, and he was unlucky with a deflected shot. But I tell you, what a smile on his face when he scored, though. The last time I seen somebody that pleased at the Copeland Road was a certain Maurice Johnson after a goal, you know, and that takes me back a bit. But what a smile! He's an infectious kind of forward. But what a smile on a guy! And for once, he put his laces through it. Maybe what Kent should have done earlier in the first half, but he just broke free, straight through the middle, and just, you know, you're thinking, please score, get a goal, because you're thinking if he misses that, you're thinking maybe a dent his confidence. But as soon as he burst in it, he was off and running. So I think we've got a decent number 9, and similar to maybe Roof, he could maybe play across, right across the front three. But no, he was certainly very lively and very positive. Yeah, I enjoyed watching him today.
Yeah, he's obviously not the same type of player as Morelos. Not many people are, but he's certainly somebody that's exciting me the more that I see him. I was at the Brighton game yesterday, and we never saw much of him. It'd be unfair to judge on performance, but there was a couple of times I thought he got put off the ball a little bit easily, and I thought, you're going to have to toughen up if you're going to come and play in Scotland, mate. But he looks to be learning those lessons pretty quickly. Graeme, the second goal. It was pretty much a well-worked move. My opinion of it was Davis was looking to find Goldson at the back so Goldson could knock it back. But you might have had a different take on it. Decent goal?
A decent goal, a nice finish on the turn. I think I agree with you. I thought it was going for Goldson as well. He had it back. But I took it well, and I liked his celebration as well. They took it in with the fans being in there. So, and it's a good pre-season. So he's 3 goals he scored. So hopefully that's the confidence going, hopefully into the Livingston game. And then I think he will lead the line, to be honest, in that game. But it was a nice finish on the turn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely think it was a well-worked move. We just got fortunate that it never fell to Goldson, but it still fell to where we were looking at to go to. John, Madrid, Willie Collum seemed a bit card happy. He was obviously treating it as a competitive game. The clubs maybe asked him to treat it that way. But Madrid seemed to quite happy to boot into us at times. Was that more a reflection that we're a couple of yards ahead of them in terms of our fitness than it was that they're a dirty team that they were just lagged behind us?
100%. That was exactly. Do you know what I felt like? That felt like playing amateur football and playing a pre-season friendly. And then the opposition bringing on loads of young wee guys for the last 30 minutes, and you're going, "Fuck this, man! I'm just kicking people." They were up against a sharp Ken, a sharp Sakala, a sharp Scott Wright. Scott Wright looks tremendous, by the way, breaking it well, and you could just see them. The run that Kent had, they were like, "What is this? This is our first game in 2.5 months." You could see them just flying for him, and I think that was all it was, and I think it just continued. Even Marcelo had a wee pull at Sakala when he ripped him in the first half as well. That's all it was to me. The natural one's just somebody who's got no time in it. Didn't look like there was any real strength in the second gel. It just looked uncomfortable. Like he caught Kamara in the midriff. So it is a red card. It is going to be a second yellow. But it didn't look like he was going to have to hurt anyone. It just looked like somebody whose timing is 3-4 weeks off. And that is it. That's why I tried to say this on this when we were talking about pre-season friendlies. Your first 2 pre-season friendlies back mean absolutely nothing because the best of footballers look miles off it for a couple of weeks. They've had 3 weeks off. And then that's maybe an advert for what we're going to have to wait for Morelos as well to get up to speed and go when that happens. But yeah, I think that was all it was. I don't think it was anything vicious, but I do think Yeah, I do think Willie Collum did like to get his cards out and try and get a couple of Real Madrid players in his notebook.
Yeah, as I say, with these pre-season games, it could be that the clubs have asked them to, treat it with a wee bit more authority, particularly was starting next week. Maybe it was a wake-up call we need. Prete, Sarkar, you're absolutely right. It wasn't Real Madrid's full team, but it is something to get excited about, because see, tomorrow morning the paper will still read Rangers 2, Real Madrid 1. And Bears are back inside Ibrox. We're winning. We start the Defensor Championship next week, so yeah, I'm going to get excited about it. So sorry, mate. Moving on, the rest of the game, we continue to make changes. There wasn't really a great deal of flashpoints beyond that, beyond the goals, beyond the cards. Did it sort of fizzle out? You would expect it to, Graeme, a pre-season game, particularly Real Madrid's first one. Did it sort of just fizzle out? We saw the 4 minutes going up and we never played the 4 minutes.
It fizzled out a wee bit, but there was still a lot of stuff in that second half that I liked. Like Nathan Patterson and Glenn Kamara, some of the wee shivel of the hips and beating players with not even touching the ball. If he leaves, I'll miss that so much. It's unbelievable how he does it. And Patterson, one of the 1-2s with Tav, we cut it inside into, I think it was Arfield, I think. There's a lot of stuff in the second half as well, but when you compare it to the first half, obviously there's a lot of nice stuff in the first half that probably bigger talking points.
So looking at a couple of individuals, Ryan Kent, let's just start with Ryan Kent. How exciting has he looked? Last season, he came on yesterday and I just thought, you've not missed a beat. Graeme, I'll take that back to you again. How good is it to see Ryan Kent the way we expect to see him after watching him last season?
It's just one of the players that you'll never get tired of watching. See, when he nutmegged that boy when he stoked first, I knew it was coming, and then I must admit, I actually clapped watching it. He's a joke player. He's one of those. I'm sure John said it a few times. He's going to be the hardest to replace if you ever to sell him. So, but obviously, doesn't look as if he's going to go anywhere this year. But the Hope Rangers are looking to for figures to come in once he eventually gets sold. But unbelievable player, unbelievable.
John Alberts, Scott Wright's got a Rangers pre-season under his belt now. Can we expect big things for him in this season? Is he going to be one of your key players?
I think so, yeah. I think he's in the team sheet for next week. I think he's played himself into the teams. I think he's there. He'll be there on merit. He was quite direct. I think he needs a goal. I think he's only got one goal last season, albeit I think from about 13 substitute appearances. I think it was against St Johnstone, was it not? But I think, yeah, he's very direct, coming in either through that middle to right hand side. And I think there was a couple of cynical fouls, a couple of hard tackles on him today, and the boy got back up. And I was impressed with the directness of Scott Wright today. And I'd certainly. For me, it makes it 11 next week, without a doubt.
Yeah. Curry Munshaw, you're absolutely right. Fantastic viewing, folks. Thanks to everybody that's tuning in. Make sure you like us on Facebook, you're following us on Twitter, you're subscribing to us on YouTube, and if you really like the content, you can join us on YouTube as a member. It's $1.99 a month. There's going to be loads of comment coming your way. If you join us as well on YouTube, I'll just get the plug in now. Supporting the Rangers Youth Development and the Former Players Benevolent Fund. So please, if you can spare it, if you really like the content, which I hope you do, please join us on YouTube. John, you're a subject matter expert, fashion Sakala. How happy are you with what you've seen in a Rangers jersey?
I think I made this clear. Like I wasn't surprised by anything I've seen. That was very much a summary of what I had watched. About 30 games last season of him in Belgium for Oostend. It is exactly what I've seen from him. Obviously, there he was playing in a 2, but he was very much given license to come out wide and do whatever he wanted, because Guy was the guy, and Guy was the player who stayed centrally and he played off of. He was the one that could run the channels and play off as a 10 or as a wide player and do what he wanted. All I said was he was a bit like Kent in his first season, as you've seen a couple of times he got the ball. He got 1v1 on Nacho and he ran the ball too early. He could have taken a couple of closer touches and then taken them and just left them for dead. But he tries to get the ball at his feet just a bit too quickly. It's a bit Lovenkrands-esque, just needs to know when to use his pace. But I think he'll be somebody like Kent. He'll win a lot of fouls in the round the box because he is so direct. He's so quick. And he does have an eye for goal. I thought his finish was was emphatic, but it wasn't as composed as I thought it was when I first seen it. When I seen the replay, I was like, all right, okay, that's maybe a bit lashed home. I thought it was like placed in off the post, but nothing I seen surprised me. It's exactly what I expected from him. I just think he'll get better, because for as good as he was at Ostend last year, a lot of his goals came at home, and that for the first part of the season came in front of crowds of like 6,000 people. So he will not have played many games, even in an 18,000 crowd. So it will be a settling in period for coming in front of 50,000, because it's all well and good just now when it's all going well, but there will be a game that he makes the wrong decision in the wrong match, and he will hear that dreaded groan of 50,000 grown men and women that can sometimes break really good footballers. We've seen it in the past, so just need to see how he responds to the odd hiccup. But yeah, a very, very good start. I'm really excited by him. I think he's going to be so much fun. He's like the opposite of Morelos in a characteristic on the pitch, because it's just all smile. Everything's happy. Morelos keeps that for the behind the scenes stuff. You see him all happy and carrying
dancing
on.
We stop off.
Aye, but on the pitch he's just pure serious. So I think Sakala will be somebody that people really, really like. And as a result of that, I think he'll get away with it, because he is quite dirty, by the way. He did get a few yellow cards last year. I think he gets away with it more often because he's very likeable, just as a person. If somebody's smiling and putting in late tackles, you're probably going, that was probably just a yellow. That's fine. We're all right there. So I think he's going to be he's somebody that I think a lot of teams are going to enjoy when they're not playing Rangers, and they'll enjoy watching him. I think he's going to be really, really good this year.
So we're going to be finishing up just shortly. Just fire questions about pre-season in general. Depending on how you look at it, Graeme, we could have a squad of 30 plus if you look at some of the younger players that are there. Are we going to keep to attack fronts, particularly the qualifiers coming quick, fast, or are we going to see players going out pretty soon within the next week or so?
I hope we see a couple go out at least. But the rumours going, I think Edmondson's away, so that'll be one. I can't see a future for Jordan Jones, and with Barker not. I don't know if he's injured or anything. I've not heard anything, but we have not been in the two squads over the last 2 days. I think he'll be away, and then I think maybe just be a couple of loans after that, and then that narrows the squad down a wee bit. Then, like Gerard's always said, he likes a neat, tidy squad, not too many numbers, and then I think that's what will happen.
Yeah, it's certainly something that we've seen for Gerard a few years. He likes a tidy, fit squad. John, Albert, I'm going to take this question to you because I know what John's answer is going to be if I ask it. Do we need to, other than Joey Veerman, need to strengthen somewhere? Is there somewhere that concerns you before it starts?
I think just maybe somebody through the middle, because I think after, if you've got Itten, Ruth, I think Morelos is going to be here, and I think maybe another centre forward, somebody else through the middle. I think Defoe, won't play much minutes this season, so maybe just somebody else just for the centre forward. Or I think we're covered in midfield. If we get him, we're more than covered in midfield. I think the surprise with Stephen Kelly stepping up really. I think we'll maybe think we're all short in midfield. Jack coming back, Kelly now. Everybody thinking before pre-season, let's get Kelly out on loan, let's see what he can do, let's get him another season somewhere, maybe like a Motherwell or Dundee United step up again. But now we're thinking, no, let's keep him for the squad. So I think goalkeeper settled, back four settled, because if we lose Barris, you've got Bassey and push Middleton if we were to keep him. But no, I think maybe just somebody up front, maybe just if Morelos goes, somebody through the middle. That's it for me.
You mentioned there about being settled, particularly at goalkeeper. For the guy, I know the guys are watching. We spoke about chat briefly this morning. Absolutely, probably somebody will disagree with the comments. Andy Firth has got the best job in the world. Don't care what anybody says. He's the lucky. He's definitely the luckiest man in Scotland. But what a job he's got. John, overall, kicked off against Partick Thistle, blown full time against Real Madrid. There's another strange comment I never thought I'd say. We've been impressed with the pre-season. Have we ticked the boxes in the pre-season that we need to tick for fitness, for development, for looking at new ways of breaking teams down?
Yeah, I think everything's there now. I think everyone's up to speed. Morelos is the only hiccup, but he's entitled to his 3 weeks off. He's entitled to be on holiday as per contractually is in your contract. End of a season, you get 3 weeks break. He was at major tournament, so he's still got 3 weeks. Unfortunately for us, Colombia made it to the final four, so they were playing in the second last day of the tournament. So he has got his 3 weeks off that he's entitled to, but everyone else seems to have stepped up. Sakala's got his goal today. Itten's got 3 goals. I know Roof's suspended for the European tie, so it's less pressing that he's immediately straight back in. Kent still looks a massive threat. Scott Wright looks really, really tidy. It just looks really good. For any of the players that I would have been worried about that's missing out, Bassey looks a different player now that he's had a Steven Gerrard pre-season under him. I would not let Kelly go out on loan. I think Man City with Phil Foden kind of dispelled that myth about making people get game time. If you're training with top players, if he's training with Steve Davis, Glenn Kamara, Ryan Jack, Lundstrom, Joe Aribo, he's better at our club training with those players and getting the odd minute at Rangers and understanding exactly what it's going to be like to play in that Rangers first team, rather than being somewhere else where he's potentially just going to be 50-50s, physical challenge, maybe won't learn as much of the game as he needs to. He's better being here under our coaching and developing that way, because he looks like the ready-made replacement for Steve Davis, which has been the thing that's been worrying me for about 2.5 seasons now. He looks like it. Scott Wright has been the one for me in this pre-season. I think he's no messed about. He's came back sharp. Seems to have put to bed, fingers crossed, any of those injury concerns that were falling around at Aberdeen. I don't know if physio and that's maybe kind of worked on a programme off the back of what's been happening with him, but he looks a really, really exciting prospect. I don't think he's here to make up numbers. I think he's here to break into that team, and I'm looking forward to that, especially with the players that are out for the European ties at the start. But I just really, really impressed with everyone. The good news we're waiting for that we'll talk about on Thursday is all these rumours about Goldson's contract. That would be the final piece that we can get in before Livingston. Barring the government turning around and saying it's 50,000 at Livingston, that would be music to my ears as we go into that first game.
Yeah, you mentioned the Morelos. Well, first of all, the Goldson situation there. Commentary, they might have let it slip that Goldson signed a new contract. Yep. Hopefully we'll hear on that tomorrow, Tuesday. Graeme, the Morelos situation, as John says, he's entitled to his 3 weeks off. He last played a game on the 9th of July, I think it was. They played their third place playoff game, the most pointless game in football. Do you think that situation will be resolved, Graeme, quite quickly when Morelos does come back?
I keep changing my mind. Sometimes I think he'll go, and then other things I think he'll stay. But I think it needs to get resolved quickly. So when he's back, they need to say, right, what's happening, and deal with it quickly. So we've got the time to bed someone in, or bring someone in to replace him as well. So I keep changing my mind whether he's going to go or not. But as long as he comes back in a decent shape, which is what I worry about. I mean, he's here, he was partying for his wife's birthday and stuff like that. So hopefully he's kept himself reasonably in shape to start a good pre-season. Well, his pre-season compared to the team's.
Yeah, you'd like to think that it has, because he's going to have to come back and hit the ground running to catch up with the rest of the first team, who will be at least maybe two or more games into the season by the time he does come back. Folks, we are going to wrap it up there. We've addressed a couple of the issues that we wanted to talk about regarding our overall pre-season. We've spoke about a fantastic performance against Real Madrid. That was the most important thing tonight. Obviously, the result's fantastic, but it's pre-season. The performance was the biggest thing. John, Graeme, thank you for joining me. Folks in the comments, thank you for joining us. We've had a fantastic amount of viewership this evening. Thanks for joining us. There's going to be loads of comment coming your way. We'll have our podcasts during the season, our live podcasts, our youth updates. Well done to the youth team, by the way, winning again yesterday, 3 wins in a row, starting in the B team in the Lowland League. So well done to them. There's going to be loads of comment. If you want to hit that join button, $1.99 a month, please feel free to do so. But you can subscribe to us on YouTube, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. And I did forget earlier, you can also like us on Instagram now. How could I forget that? Because I'm in charge of the Instagram account. How could I possibly forget that? But guys, please make sure you join us. Thank you for joining us this evening. Pre-season's done. Here comes 56. Thanks, guys, and we'll see you next week.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys. Cheers.